Wendy Williams is known for lots of things, from being a talk show host and a meanie. Oh, was that too fast? She's quite popular for making herself the devil's advocate and always prying into celebrities' lives, even if it was at the expense of their mental health. But you know what was more shocking about the whole situation? Wendy Williams has an army of fans and supporters despite the hate she consistently spews, and that is just how society behaves. But now, the talk show host seems to have fallen off and disappeared. With a documentary of her life coming up, how exactly did she rise to fame? And why was she never canceled for her questionable takes? Wendy Williams was born on July 18, 1964 in Asbury Park, New Jersey. She came from a family of academics, with her parents having 3 master's degrees combined. Her mother was a special educator, and her father was the first black school administrator in Red Bank, New Jersey. Imagine coming from a long line of educators. You would have to go through a lot to prove yourself as a worthy academic too. However, Wendy felt too much pressure from her parents to succeed, like her older sister who got a scholarship at 16. This pressure made Wendy start to think less of herself, especially when she had to go on a diet after elementary school. Her parents claimed that she had gained too much weight as a child and placed her on a strict diet, which made her start developing body image issues. So, we are starting to see some connections between Wendy's childhood and her behavior as an adult. Anyway, she was quick to become friends with the white kids at school because she didn't AAVE and had a white girl's accent instead. In fact, they became friends with Wendy and started to use the N-word around as they pleased. And guess what? Wendy didn't mind. You could make an excuse for her that she was still a teenager and didn't know better. But that internalized racism would boil over into her adulthood, and there would be no reasonable excuse for her. Not only was she friends with only white students, she also didn't get along with other black people in her school because, according to her, all they did was smoke cannabis. While that was a harmful stereotype, it said a lot about Wendy Williams' beliefs and what would eventually shape her life and future connections. Wendy's parents wanted her to become a nurse, but she graduated 360th out of 363 students, which was a sign that she couldn't do anything in the medical field. Her first introduction to announcing was when she acted as an announcer for her younger brother's baseball games. Wendy Williams got into Northeastern University in Boston to become a TV anchor and switched to radio, despite her parents' wishes. Well, her stubbornness paid off because her radio career paid off in a way. If it didn't pay off, we wouldn't be talking about her now, right? Anyway, after Wendy Williams graduated, she had a hard time getting a job she enjoyed. She first worked with WVIS as a DJ and quit after a short while because she felt like she wasn't getting any useful knowledge by being in that position. Afterwards, she got a full-time job at WRKS, where she worked on the morning segment of the radio, the Wakeup Call. It was at this point Wendy Williams began to show the world her real bold face and was taking down celebrities with her words. Well, not taking down per se. As she got on the show, she started to gossip about celebrities and rappers, and that was when she revealed that Bill Cosby was a sex offender. The revelation came as a shock because Bill Cosby was one of the most respected black figures at the time, and people had high hopes for him. But it's when people are in positions of power that you can actually decide on whether they are worthy of adulation or not, and Bill Cosby didn't deserve all that love. After Wendy Williams made the shocking announcement, Bill Cosby went on a mission to ruin her career. He tried to get in touch with her bosses to try to use his power to make her lose her job as a presenter, but that failed woefully. Wendy Williams was helping her station get amazing ratings. There was no way they could drop a money bag. When Bill found out that there was nothing he could do, he decided to threaten her, but Wendy stood her ground.
Bill Cosby, once a beloved TV dad, and tonight a judge now determining that he is a sexually violent predator.
Many years down the line, Bill Cosby was eventually arrested for the same crime Wendy accused him of. But that's not to say she's always right or even has the moral standing to accuse anybody. Now, we are not saying that because a person is questionable, they can't call out predators. We're saying that you can't call out one predator and defend another. What manner of hypocrisy is that? If you don't know what we're talking about, let's give a backstory.
Overnight, R&B star R. Kelly arrested in Chicago on federal sex crime charges.
R. Kelly was arrested in 2019 for sexual abuse, and he had a myriad of victims, most of whom were teenagers from underprivileged families. After he was sentenced to 30 years in prison, many people in the industry were unhappy with the sentencing, and even went the extra mile to try to launder his image and make it seem like a misconception. They seemed to not mind that R. Kelly smuggled Aaliyah out of the country when she was just 16, faked her age, and married her. Some folks might want to say that she consented, but how can a minor consent to marriage to someone old enough to be her uncle? As if that wasn't enough, R. Kelly went on to abuse other women and people when the industry still had the effrontery to defend him. Anyway, Wendy Williams made a full episode on her TV show, The Wendy Williams Show, in support of R. Kelly. She claimed that the singer couldn't read or write, which we're sure can't be an excuse for abuse. In his defense, Wendy Williams claimed that there was a part of R. Kelly that only she knew because he shared some really personal things with her.
It's just a deeply moving story to me because I know all of this story.
Wendy Williams has been coming under fire for more controversies like fat-shaming Kanye West. The annoying part about that situation is the fact that she has been body-shamed right from when she was a child, so people would expect her to be more empathetic toward other people's weight. However, she just acts like she knows what's best for people's bodies and their lives, and that has made her one of the most hated celebrities. For years now, the talk show host has been dealing with different health conditions like Graves' disease and vertigo. During an episode of her show, she fainted, and people began to peddle conspiracy theories about her. They were convinced that Wendy Williams was a part of some secret cult, and she got a subliminal message from them that made her faint. It turns out that it was dehydration caused by her poor health that took her out. But despite her struggles with her health, she continued to push through with her show, taking a break when needed. Although she sometimes does the absolute most with her career, we can't deny the fact that Wendy Williams is a hard worker. After struggling and trying to keep things cool, Wendy Williams disappeared. She was no longer doing the talk show and appearing on our screens. She needed a break to recover and get adequate treatment. While everyone was happy that she could get better, Lifetime released the trailer of the documentary of Wendy Williams' life in 2024. Wasn't she on hiatus to recuperate? Why was she still shooting? Getting a documentary ready takes time. When did they get the chance to shoot it? Getting into the little details we know about the documentary, it appears that Wendy Williams is now broke and homeless to crown it all. According to her, she only has $2 to her name, making us wonder how that is even possible. She has been working before most of you watching this video were born, so how come she lost everything? During her health crisis, Wendy Williams lived in a sober house at some point. She was heavily involved in drugs, and it would take a very short ruler to draw a line from her bank to her dealer's account. Wendy may have gone broke trying to get her high, all of which may have contributed to her poor health. After stopping her TV show, Wendy moved back to her family's house in Florida, and that's like the lowest blow when you hit rock bottom. Family is everything, but going back to where you were traumatized as a kid, it means you have no other option. It seems like everything Wendy Williams was afraid of as a teenager finally caught up to her. Remember, she didn't associate with black kids in school because all they did was smoke weed? Decades later, she would lose everything she has, partially to drug use. Most of the depraved people she supported while she was still a force to reckon with in the industry have been quiet since she disappeared. It's like throughout Wendy Williams' life, she will keep getting rejected by the people she tends to look up to or defend. Wendy Williams once called herself a multicultural woman who just happened to be black. She always seemed to want to exempt herself from the black community, which is a problem for a person of color to do. Now that she is at her lowest point, she isn't getting any support from her people, the ones she always seemed to attack the most on her show. There were times when Wendy Williams actually did make an impact, mostly in trolling celebs and getting her fans to do the same. There were times she spoke the truth with boldness, like in the case of Bill Cosby, and stood her ground. But most times, Wendy Williams was spreading gossip and false narratives about people who just wanted to create art and share it to the world. She never called out those who actually needed to be called out, and now that her TV career seems like it's over, the people around her are milking her for a documentary. We hope Wendy Williams recovers quickly and introspects to come up with new ideas if she ever decides to restart her show.